Tonight we're going to spend a little time digging into Worktime. Ideally, the Worktime portion is the biggest chunk in your lesson. The more students are doing, the more they are learning. This video will explore more of those moving pieces that need to be considered so that Worktime is productive and meaningful for all. Classroom management considerations are really the starting point for effective Worktime. Without management, the other pieces won't be as effective as they could be. There is more, though, to making meaningful learning than just routines and procedures. If you are also intentional about what students are doing and ensuring that they are highly engaged, that will support management as well as their learning. This is true as well when you are intentional about what you are doing during this work time, as it can increase the level of learning and management. Work time isn't all students doing the same thing, worksheet packets, or on computers the whole time. A means to keep students quiet and busy. When classroom management is struggling, we tend to default to the isn't, because it's the only way to stay sane and have some semblance of learning going on. This is all passive, however, not productive, as students are acting out of compliance, not cognitive engagement. For true cognitive engagement, work time is differentiated learning and student choice, authentic learning tasks, and being engaged in high-level thinking. Once students know the routines and procedures of work time, they need to be engaged in meaningful learning. If we consider the graphic here, you'll notice that two crucial elements are charted: thinking and participation. We always want to aim for work time learning experiences to be both high thinking and high participation. If we are intentional about what students are doing during that work time, they will be consistently in that upper right quadrant, quadrant 4. In thinking back to the work time isn't chart from earlier, remember that work time isn't a means to keep students simply quiet and occupied, quadrant 2. Because we aren't just looking for compliance. We want students to be both engaged behaviorally, the management piece, and cognitively. In order for students to obtain the learning targets, they need to partake in those high cognitive and high engagement tasks. In order for all students to be successful during work time, ensure that these high cognition, high engagement tasks do the following: provide choice, and are tasks that naturally differentiate and engage. Are manageable, tasks that can be done independently, but for which you have also considered the complexity of directions and materials needed. For example, if it's a computer task, but the laptop takes 15 minutes for a student to log in, it doesn't support learning as well. And finally, are attainable yet challenging. Tasks need to be at the zone of proximal development. If students are either bored or cannot be successful with a task, the classroom management piece quickly falls apart and students aren't really learning. Here are some suggested structures you might consider as ways to have highly engaging tasks for your students that incorporate the choice, manageability, and are attainable yet challenging. Choice boards. Choice in what to read or write about. A series of rich tasks to move through at their own pace. And rotating through tasks. Let's take a moment to consider what you as the teacher are doing during work time. Just as it's important to be intentional with what the students are doing during work time, it's important to be intentional with what you are doing to really maximize the learning. To this end, work time isn't time for grading, checking email, and so on. Or meeting with the same students every time, all the time, for the whole time. However, work time is conferencing, checking in, and meeting in small groups. It's also varying who you meet with independently and/or in small groups. we're going to narrow in on a few of the things you might be doing during work time to best support your students' learning. Meeting with small groups is one way teachers utilize work time. This is a great opportunity to meet with pre-planned groups, such as in guided reading, or with on-the-fly groups based off of anecdotal data you collected during the direct instruction. It's important to consider the variety with whom you are meeting, as it shouldn't always be students who need intervention. While students who need intervention definitely benefit from the small group instruction, they also need time to be doing the work time tasks to apply their learning as well. When you're supporting students during work time, asking open-ended questions is a high-leverage strategy to have in your back pocket. Asking questions like, how do you think your work is going so far? What is something that you're proud of? What's something you're hoping to improve? Can help students deepen their thinking about their work and build their reflection and metacognition skills. Questions like these can also jumpstart a one-on-one conversation with a student and help you understand where you might focus your attention. Offering students concrete positive feedback about their work can help them both recognize their strengths and gain a boost of momentum to push through challenges. Unlike praise, encouragement is about offering feedback, not showing approval. This might sound like, John, I know you've been working at developing this character. It's really coming along. He's really growing and changing through the story. Or, Eliza, the colors you've used on this PowerPoint presentation really help highlight the content. They're bold enough to stand out, but they don't take the attention away from what you want to say. When coaching students during work time, make sure they maintain both physical and emotional control of the work. As much as possible, students should hold the paper and the pencil. They should mark corrections or notes in the margins. The work should face them as you confer. You can also use language that emphasizes their ownership of the work. What can I do to support you with your work? Use the word you more than I. Instead of, I think you should, say, you might consider. Be sure to offer the right amount of support. You might sit down to help a student with a project they're working on and see 7 or 8 things right away that could be better. If you overwhelm students with too many suggestions, not only will they not be able to remember everything you suggest, they might become discouraged, which could decrease their motivation. Usually, 1 or 2 suggestions at a time is plenty for a student to consider. And once they're ready, you might focus them on another suggestion or 2. Getting to a smoothly running work time in which all students are highly engaged in meaningful learning can be challenging, and it is not expected that this is something that you are going to have mastered right away. This is the end goal, which you will continue to refine throughout your career. So start small. Get the management tight enough so that you don't feel like you're herding cats, losing your mind, and/or ready to just break out the worksheet packets. Incorporate small choices for students that aren't overwhelming to manage. Have a few hip pocket questions to use when you check in with students. Get comfortable with that, and then add more layers.